I met Erin at my HRT doctor. Erin was part of a practice there. There was, I don't know, 7 nurse practitioners and a doctor, or like a huge practice. And I connected really deeply on HRT, nervous system balance, life events affecting your body, your mind, your spirit. And so Erin became my person. So Erin's an HRT nurse practitioner, and she ventured off into her own solo practice. And so we
Okay.
reconnected there, and I happen to love Erin because she walked me through this whole journey from the beginning until today, really. So that's my
Oh,
intro for you. How was that?
Edith, that was very sweet. I don't think my husband would say that about me. It's
Did you
really
save his
nice.
life? That's the question.
That's true. That's true.
All
I
right, so
love
tell
it.
us your
I love it.
professional intro.
Oh gosh. Well, I started off in pediatrics as a nurse practitioner, but something that you may not know about me is before becoming a nurse practitioner, I was a figure skating choreographer for 15 years. So
Mm,
that's the world I come from. And but what got me into hormone replacement was my husband. Like
okay.
just seeing him get hormones replaced. And he was the first one of us that was introduced to hormone replacement therapy. And seeing that change in him was so profound for me that I was like, what is this? I need to know everything about this. And that's when I shifted my entire focus as a nurse practitioner over to this field and receive training in it. And you start to realize as you read the medical literature, as you learn more about this field, like there's just so much that's not given to the average man and woman about their health that really needs to be explained and
Yes,
accessed. So
absolutely.
here we
So
are. Yeah,
yeah, and being able to see it firsthand right in front of you was
absolutely.
probably such an experience.
And when you see the person that you love change in front of you, like back into the man that you married, you're like,
Mm,
okay, this is either magic or this is like, something extremely powerful.
yeah.
And it did. It was just like, wow. And I didn't even think I needed hormones. And I remember I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. No.
Mm,
Then, then I took them. Oh
yeah.
boy.
Yeah. Well, we'll
And
get
here
into
we
the
are.
oh boy. Yeah. That's why we're here, right? For
That's
the
why
oh
we're
boy.
here.
Yeah.
You got it, girl. You
Yeah.
got it.
So
But yeah.
you've been between, a big, huge practice that was moving very quickly to your own private practice. And so I would love for you to share what you're seeing for the clinically for the woman who's coming in for the very first time. What is she saying? What is she feeling?
Yeah, I would say the thing that I hear the most for the very first time, and I want to say that there's two sets of women that I see
Mhm.
primarily. One is a perimenopausal woman, and then the other is typically a postmenopausal woman. So a perimenopause, this is someone who is still menstruating even though it's irregular. The thing that they come in and say is like, I just don't really feel like myself anymore. I'm doing all the right things, but I just know something's not right, but I literally can't tell you what it is.
Mm,
And it's like they're circling around this thing and they're just like, no one believes me. Every time I talk to a doctor, they're like, everything's normal. And they're feeling kind of like gaslit by this whole experience because they know
yeah.
something's wrong, but it's hard to put words to it. So
Mm,
that's that patient. But then my post-menopausal women, like their menstrual cycle may have stopped 10 years ago. And they're coming in because maybe a friend referred them, or they're just literally so exhausted that they just cannot step forward another, whatever it is. Like they can't do their life anymore. And they're just like,
yeah.
help. Like no one's helping me. I was told you might be able to. So
Yeah.
kind of two different ends of the spectrum and everywhere in between too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all have hormones, no matter where we are, right? Wherever we are in the process, we all are feeling something based on our hormones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
that's the thing. That's the I feel off. I feel off. How many women, are having a hard time putting their finger on whatever that offness is. And like you
Yes.
said, we all feel like we're doing the right thing. I always say like menopause is like going to college. You've never done it before. We don't know what's going to happen when we get there, and all these things are happening and we just can't put our finger on it. So having a
So
practitioner who's going to stand right beside you through that whole process is really the biggest part of the process.
absolutely. And you make a really good point because the way this looks in every female is so different. Like
Mm,
some women will come in and be like, I have no libido. That's the only thing I notice is different, but otherwise I'm fine. I don't really
mhm,
feel anything. There are other women that come in and they're like, I can't function. Like I literally can't even do my job anymore because I'm struggling to like get words to come out of my mouth. Like I have sweat dripping down my face. Like how am I supposed to function as a normal human? And so it's like you just can't assume that if you read something online that that's how it's going to hit you. You can't assume that if your friend said this is how it was for her that that's how it's going to be for you. It's so individual. So we really have to honor that and ask the questions. So, yeah.
agreed. Yeah. Um, I had a job in the middle of all this when I met you. And I remember sitting in my car at lunch. I went out to my car every lunch and took a nap. I was
Oh,
napping every single day for 30 minutes in the car. My phone had a 30-minute alarm and I was like knocked out. I was exhausted. And I remember sitting at my desk thinking, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be? They're paying me to do something and I just can't do it.
yes, right? It's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a wild time if you're not supported.
Yeah.
And the support, I think, is the most important part. Like, we go through the process of, figuring out, the medications or the hormones or that whatever it is, but it's just such a hard time internally because you're just not aware of what's going on in your body. So I'm going to take a second to say thank you, Erin.
Oh, girl, you're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
I'm happy, happy to help.
Yeah. So let's ask a few questions around this because, like you said, everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
There's no specific, on your 47th birthday, this is what's going to happen. It's different for all of us. Some are early, some are late. So tell me, how early do you think that these hormone shifts begin and how early you should look for a partner in an HRT doctor?
Yes. I would say mid-30s is when your hormones can start to shift. I know that's where they shifted for me. And I think as early as 35, you could easily start to see drops in your progesterone, drops in your testosterone. Those are usually the first two hormones that tend to start declining right about there. So that might be changes in your sleep, and
Mm,
that might be changes in your libido. Just, there's a lot of other symptoms connected to those two hormones, but those are usually the most obvious. But how often do you feel those things and you just say, well, it's life. I'm just stressed. It is what it is. And I think that's the thing with women, because I
mhm.
do it too, is we just say, keep going. Like,
Yeah.
no big deal. We got to do it. So I
Mm,
think that's why it's so easily missed when it's starting to decline, is you just chalk it up to life, you know?
yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Um, it's almost like, I've learned through my clients that menopause is like when we talked about this before. Menopause is like when you see a pregnant woman at Panera and you say something to her like, oh my God, you're in for it. I had the worst delivery, right? Like you hear these crazy from strangers, these crazy stories. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm about to have a baby. And you're telling me how horrible it is. That's what we get in
Right.
menopause stories also. We get the
Yes.
horrible, oh, I knew I was in menopause when I was having hot flashes or when I gained 30 pounds. Or you're like,
You're like, "I can't wait. I'm so
yeah.
excited."
And it's
Like,
something
find
that's
out.
going to happen. We are women in midlife. It's coming, right?
Mhm.
So let's not make it the horrible, like, brace yourself, it's coming.
Right,
Let's
right.
just, can we ease into this together and, figure out a way to not be steamrolled by it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, such a good point though too, because like my mom is probably the worst offender of this, she's like, "Well, just wait till you go through it." And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like I know you did not have support, like I get it, but like you're right, Edith. Like we need to be supportive of each other and be like, "Hey, like I see you're struggling. I totally
Yes.
understand. Let me share
Yes.
what helped and maybe this will
Hmm.
help you."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes it's just having that person that's going to be supportive instead of telling you the wild, wild story, and just say like, you're okay. All of these
Right.
things are really happening and you're okay. And we
Yeah,
can ease through it, right? We can ease through it.
you can. You
Yes.
can.
So let us take a second to talk about hormones.
Okay.
Um, a lot of my clients, well, you're a nurse practitioner, I'm a nurse,
Mhm.
but a lot of women, when I say anything about testosterone, they look at me like I have six heads. They're like,
Yeah.
then they automatically think I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about that.
Sure.
We have testosterone, and
Do
it's
we
okay.
do.
There's nothing wrong with you.
Right. Right. I
All
know,
right.
I know.
So
Yes.
let's talk very briefly about the key hormones we have and what we
Mhm.
need to understand about them.
Sure. So I would say the four main hormones that I replace is estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid. Now, most perimenopausal women, those that are still menstruating, even if it's irregular, they most likely do not need estradiol. There are individual cases when that may make sense, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Hmm.
And then I would say most menopausal women or postmenopausal women, they need usually all four hormones. Now, I would say what you need really depends on what you're feeling and what your labs say and just also what you're able to tolerate. And so I feel like this is just the one area that I really focus on with patients, which is nervous system regulation, because I believe that plays the direct role in which hormones you're replacing at which dosage, which formulation, um, as to how you're going to feel, how you're going to receive it. That really needs to be talked about for sure. So that's just a brief overview, but do you want to go through each hormone and maybe talk about what
I
it feels
think
like
we
in your
could
body?
touch on it just a little bit,
Okay,
and what each of those hormones are responsible for.
got you. Okay, so estradiol, think of this one as your main female hormone. This, I think, really helps all of the menopausal symptoms. So if you don't have estradiol anymore, you would have the typical hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, maybe, or maybe not, right? Depending
Right.
on how you're presenting. But estradiol, I've noticed is really helpful for mood, and it's really helpful for memory and skin. And there's a very long list of other things, but it
Sure.
just helps you feel kind of just that overall sense of wellness.
Okay.
Um, Progesterone, that's your sleep hormone, your anti-anxiety hormone. So like everyone's like, can I take the whole bottle? This is amazing. But that's primarily where that one focuses. If you're replacing estradiol, it can also help protect the lining of the uterus so it doesn't get too thick, so you're not bleeding all the time when you're replacing estradiol. And I will say this, estradiol and progesterone, they go together. They're best friends. If you
Hmm.
take estradiol, you have to take progesterone, even if you don't have a uterus. I know that sounds
Hmm.
like,
That's going to be a great conversation at our live talk.
yes. I figured I'd plant that one for you.
Good job.
So moving on, testosterone is really good for physical energy, libido, building lean muscle mass, and metabolism.
Mhm.
And testosterone is also a hormone that's connected with some sensitivity symptoms, which we can totally review those at our live session. And it's definitely something that women need to be aware of. And it doesn't mean that they will happen to them, but they need to understand what it means if they appear and kind of how to handle that if they do.
Mhm.
And then the last hormone is thyroid. I think of this one as mental energy, clarity, focus, memory as well. So, yeah, I mean, it makes it pretty easy to tweak a hormone when you kind of understand what it does in the body.
Yes, yes.
There you go.
And thank you for that. That's important. Again, I said I'm a nurse, so I sat down with you and we were going through all the hormones and I asked a lot of questions. And then we got to thyroid and I was like, does not compute until you explained it to me so easily, so simply. It contradicted everything I know from medical textbooks.
Yeah,
Right. And so I
yeah,
was like, so I had to kind of like take a moment with my brain and be like, it can do more than this one thing. And then I
yeah,
was taking it and I was like, oh, Now I get it. I get it. It's like boom, right?
Right?
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
there's one more I want to just touch on very quickly because we all know about it. We all know this word, and it's kind of an intimidating word to some. So I'm going to say it, and you can brace yourself.
Mhm.
Cortisol.
Ah, yes. The famous
Yeah.
court.
So, cortisol, as mentioned to me by a GP, a general practitioner, was the
Mhm.
stress hormone. And when they said it like that, the stress hormone. And I was like, they made it sound like this thing that was against us.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to kind of debunk that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, sure, sure. My take on cortisol is this. When you're going through perimenopause, specifically, when your hormones start to decline, the thing that people don't understand, women in particular, is that hormones provide a buffer to your nervous system to experience life.
Mm,
And that is where I think cortisol comes into play here because women are like, that are in perimenopause and menopause, they're like, oh my gosh, my cortisol levels, they're through the roof. And my response is, yeah, they probably are because you don't have enough hormones to buffer the experience of life. Like, what I'm saying is, many women will come in and say, Erin, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, my boss said this thing to me, and then I started crying, and I'm not a crier. I don't know why I'm crying. And I'm like, I know. Like, that's what it is. When you lose the protection of your estradiol, your progesterone, or your testosterone starts to get low, you may notice you're like, I'm kind of feeling like I want to go inside myself and I'm not really wanting to participate outside because I don't have enough of the normal buffering to
mm,
interact with life. And so that's how I think cortisol plays a role in this. Like you lose your protection. And so you're going to naturally have higher cortisol levels in this period of your life, not because your life necessarily got more stressful, but because your buffers are no longer in place. So that's how I
right.
would talk about it.
Yeah. Just as you were talking, I was thinking, I always say, and you've heard me say it before, our bodies know what to do. Our
Mm,
bodies know exactly what to do. But in this time, in this menopausal time, with all of those hormones decreasing, cortisol's increasing. They're trying to find their happy place again. And
yes.
so our bodies are in this like, what are you doing? What do you like? The hormones are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And they're just trying to
Right.
figure it out. And the cortisol knows to protect us, it's fight or flight. So with all those hormones doing wonky things, the cortisol is like, well, let me help protect.
Right.
It's like, it just like our bodies are always trying to find a happy median. And
Exactly.
so the stress hormone, which is not, it sounds horrible, but it's really kind of doing what it's supposed to because the other hormones are decreasing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's not be mad at cortisol.
No, I agree. I totally agree. It's just a protector. It's just telling you,
Yes.
"Hey, something's not right in here. We need some help," you know? I
Yeah.
mean, and yes, when it normally secretes, if there really is danger, of course you want it to secrete.
Sure. Hmm.
But, it secretes constantly sometimes when you're going through this change, you're like, "Okay,
I could tell you some stories, but I won't because I don't want to be that woman in Panera. I
we're
just
not."
don't.
No, we are loving and supportive.
Yes. Yes. All right. So we have our hormones are decreasing. Our bodies are just trying to figure out what to do. Let's talk about lab work. Because
Mhm.
how many women, I think they could all raise their hand as they're watching this video. How many of us have heard from the doctor, your labs look great?
Mm,
And in the meantime, you're like the belly bloat, the sleepless nights, the hot sweats, you're barking at your husband and you're like, I need more than my labs look great. So I would love to
yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. First thing I would say is normal is not optimal.
Say it again. That was so good.
Normal is not optimal. Yes.
Okay, tell us more.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, I mean, like my provider training was like, everybody stays in this range.
Yeah.
Here it is. And then I'm like,
Yes.
oh, okay. All right. And you just learn really quickly, like nobody feels good in the normal range
Yeah,
with hormones. And yes, when you have a CBC, do you want to be in a normal range on most of those labs?
sure.
Yes, you
Yeah.
do. But we've got to get people to think differently about hormones because I'll give you an example. A free T3, which is part of a thyroid panel. This is your active thyroid hormone. This is the hormone that's responsible for that mental energy, the clarity, the focus. In an 18-year-old female, that could be as high as 8. But on your lab ranges, it can only go up to either 4.2 or 4.4. That's as high as you're allowed to go. Like, they won't let you go higher because they think it's, and maybe, Edith, I might be wrong. Maybe the range it could be 4.2. I just have to, but it's like, it's just something where you're like, okay, well, what if I don't feel good at
Right.
4.2? So I just try and, educate people that when you replace a hormone, you will likely be above the range. You'll be out
Mm,
of range because then you're probably feeling a heck of a lot better, than you were.
yeah. Yeah. And those numbers being out of range does not mean you're toxic or at risk of any health crisis or anything like that.
No.
And so I think that that's a fear, or it could be a fear of women. I'm 54. So I've been responsible for my own health since I was whatever, 20.
Mhm.
So for the past 34 years, I see the labs, I see the low and the high. I'm in there, I'm great. And then I
Yeah.
show up with these labs and they're higher. It's a you kind of, like I said, have to turn off your brain into believing that
Yeah.
this is the only place you can feel good. You could feel good up to here, and that's great, and that's
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
exactly. Yep. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Do you want to ask another question?
No, you're fine, you're fine.
So I remember when I first tested my labs and I remember seeing them be out of range. And I think it's just a normal reaction. We've been trained our entire lives in the medical system. You have to be in this range. But I think it's really good training, for being a human and understanding body intelligence. It's that number will be where it is when you feel good. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
we're not shooting for a particular number. There's literature that tells us what could be happening in a certain range, but also, if even Edith, if I try and push you to a certain range, but you don't feel good there, then we can't stay there.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So,
And so the good point to make right here is that HRT is not to be normal.
mm,
HRT is to feel optimal, feel
optimal.
good, feel better than you did before you started.
You got it. You got it. And I think realistic expectations helps too, because yeah, I mean, yeah, wouldn't we all love to feel as energized as we did at 18 years old? Yes, absolutely. But, I think no one's ever going to get back to that age unless you are that age. But
Mhm.
what can return is so profound and so supportive and so foundational to the way you do life. I just can't imagine that you wouldn't be just so entirely happy and satisfied with how you feel based on where you were, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's ask some real life questions. A real life question is, I have been exercising nonstop and I can't get rid of this belly fat. What else do I need to do?
Yeah. I see this a lot in my menopausal women, and what that is usually just that the loss of estradiol, because estradiol is responsible for that decreased visceral fat. So a lot of times when women are just depleted in those hormones, your metabolism is down. You're now going to start creating the environment for increased abdominal fat. You're not going to have the bone mass that you used to have as well, and it just it creates the environment where you are trying so hard, you're doing all the right things, and yet you're seeing things worsen, which, I mean, that is so defeating. And I really understand. But if you know what's going on in your body, you understand, oh, wait, I don't have the hormones that are going to support these actions and actually get the results that I want.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to come back to that because I already have something I want to say, but it's not the right time. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Remind me, I want to say something about that. All right.
Make a note.
Here's another question.
Okay.
Why has my sex drive changed?
Oh, girl, I feel you. Number one. Right? No, but
Yeah.
sex drive is connected to testosterone. And I think it's important to have proper expectations about testosterone and what it can
Mhm.
do. And a lot of people, when they think that they're going to get testosterone replacement and all of a sudden they're going to have this vivacious libido that is going to just take over the world, I think that's just not the case. And so the reason why your libido is leaving you is because your testosterone is starting to come down, and that is responsible for that feeling of arousal. Like it's very difficult to feel those feelings without it. And so a lot of women will say, I want to have sex with my partner. Like, I mentally want to,
Mhm.
but I cannot make my body have that desire, have that arousal, and that's where your testosterone comes in. So, yes, but
Okay.
also when you replace it, you just have to have expectations that wherever you were happiest with your libido before, it will mirror that in
Mhm.
replacement. You'll say, "Okay, if my partner initiated most of the time and I was able to respond, that will be a similar experience."
Yeah.
And if you were the initiator, then it will be a similar experience. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you have to start with testosterone, and then it's also a couples game after that.
Right. And you gotta talk
Yeah.
with your
We all
partner.
have to be involved in this. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Not a
Okay.
solo sport. Yeah.
All right. My sleep has been difficult. I
Yeah.
go to sleep late, I wake up late, and I have about an hour around 3 o'clock in the morning that I'm just wide awake and scrolling on my phone. Why is that happening?
Progesterone. Yeah. Progesterone can make it difficult to fall asleep. It can make it difficult to stay asleep. It can be difficult to have, just 6 hours straight or 7 hours straight or 8 hours straight.
Hmm.
But also estradiol does play a role in this as well. So, um, again, that's where talking with your provider and really understanding where you are with labs, what your symptoms are, will let us know if do we need to add estradiol, or do we need to, have a certain formulation of progesterone. Um, but also, I would say sleep is something that really deeply affects PCOS diagnoses. And those people, they could have zero progesterone and sleep 8 hours
Hmm.
and wake up feeling absolutely exhausted.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things where you really have to know what you're doing. Like, someone could say, "But I'm sleeping, so I must not need progesterone." No, not always. So that's
Hmm.
just one of those nuances you really have to be aware of.
Yeah. That leads me to say, because everybody who's listening to us is going to explore HRT, and it leads me to say, even a symptom that doesn't feel like a symptom could be a
Mhm.
symptom. And
Yes.
so when the doctor's asking, well, what brings you here?
Yes.
List them all, right? Like, just because you don't know what's related to what as a
Exactly.
patient, but as the HRT nurse practitioner is gathering all of that information, you could be surprised
You got it.
that these things can be remedied with, a beautiful conversation.
Something that I will say to my patients is, "Okay, now you told me the symptoms. Can you tell me other things that might be going on in your life that you don't think are related to
Mm,
HRT, but are not going the way you expected them?" And sure enough,
yeah,
you're like, "Oh, okay. All
yeah.
right." And then I'm like, "Those are symptoms." And they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, I just thought it was this or thought it was that."
Yeah. So
So,
let's
yeah.
go back to the question about belly fat. Like, I'm doing everything right. I'm exercising, I'm moving. I just can't get rid of this, right? This
Mhm.
little bit of whatever. So I have a couple of questions around it just because that's my lane. I'm exercising. I think I'm eating right. I walk. I drink a lot of water. I can't get rid of this. How do you feel that all of these things kind of work in unison with each other? So, diet, exercise, nervous system, HRT, they're all different parts of a puzzle from
Yes.
what I can tell. So, tell me how you feel on that.
Oh, I totally agree. I think they're all best friends, and I think it's like they're all slices of the same pie, and if you want a whole pie, I think you have to pay attention to all these aspects. I've had a lot of people come in and they just think hormone replacement is the silver bullet.
Hmm.
And it just isn't.
Yeah.
Like, I still have to eat right. I still have to move my body. I still have to meditate. I still have to do yoga. Like, and these are not things that I'm saying I have to do them. No, I get to do them. I want to
Mm.
do them. And they are part of just that balance of being a human.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm
Yeah.
with you. I think they just all go together. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have trouble with clients who are not doing all the things and they do believe HRT is the silver bullet? And how do you manage that conversation?
Yes. Yes, a lot. So, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of it has to do with just the habits you grew up with, right? So I think I'm kind of an odd bird in that way. I grew up as an athlete. I grew up
Yes.
using my body to an extreme, right? So
Mhm.
when you have that type of experience and you come into hormone replacement, they kind of go together really well, right? Because you're already doing a lot of the pieces of it. But if you have led a very sedentary life, not because you want to, but perhaps that's just what's happened, right? Maybe you have
Mhm.
a sedentary job. Perhaps, obviously, we don't learn nervous system regulation. Most of us did not grow up in
Right.
secure environments. Like,
Mhm.
there's so many pieces of this that we have to talk about as part of a whole rather than all these little separate silos where, okay, my mental health is terrible, so now I need to go see a therapist. No, this needs to be a conversation that happens all together in one place because we're a whole person. We are a
Yes.
whole human,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
these are all interrelated. So the people that I think don't pay attention to these other slices of the pie, they do still struggle with weight. They sometimes can burn through their hormones a lot quicker. And we're having to really fluctuate in the dosage because their nervous system isn't regulated. And
Mhm.
so that can be, you put a hormone in the body and they're like, this is a threat. And it's like, okay, well, it's not, but given what you've experienced, it is a threat. So now I have to work with that, right? So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, definitely. If you're moving your body, if you're eating, I'm not saying you have to eat perfectly.
No.
I'm saying
Yeah.
don't eat McDonald's every day. That's all I'm
Mhm.
saying.
Mhm.
Like, none of us are perfect. I love
Yeah.
my cupcakes. Okay, and I do
I
eat
won't
them,
tell you my guilty pleasure.
right?
We'll save that for the next interview.
There will be more. Don't worry.
Yes.
It'll be great. But yeah, did that
Erin,
answer your question? I don't know,
yes,
Edith.
it did beautifully. I
Okay.
have a question that just came to me, and it's a curious question. Is there anybody who is absolutely not qualified for HRT?
Hmm. I would say no.
I kind of agree, and I'm not the
Yeah.
professional, so because it's a personal experience.
It
It's personal
is.
to any person who's willing to have that conversation.
And let me add to this because I think this is like, then everybody might say, oh, okay, so blanket statement, everybody should take hormones.
Mm,
No, no, I will actually disagree with that because having done this, for 5 years, having this be my only focus, I have met women where I'll give them estradiol and they can't even tolerate the a whisper of it. They just immediately flip into a PMS type symptom. And it's
mhm.
like no matter how little or whatever formulation we try, their body said, you will not give me that hormone. Now, do I know all of the whole physiology behind that? No, but I do know we listen to the body. When the body says no, this is not right
Sure.
for me. End of story. So
Right.
there are many scenarios where that can happen with a particular hormone for many different reasons. And a
Mhm.
lot of them can be emotional and psychological or related to the nervous system in some way. And some of them can just be, no, my body just doesn't need that. And that's
Right.
okay. That's okay. We work with
Mhm.
it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you try or you discuss other avenues, right? It's so everybody's
Yeah.
qualified for the conversation, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to take something different away from this conversation. But what's the one thing that you would love for the guests to our live event, which is on April 19th
Mhm,
at 1 p.m.?
mhm.
It's in person in Claremont, Florida at One Yoga and Fitness. and it's going to be virtual for everybody else. So anybody who's listening to us today can go to oneyogafitness.com/events, and you can get the
Mhm.
information there to join us and RSVP. But what is the thing that you want everybody to walk away with on the day of the event that we have not shared yet?
I want them to feel like healthy aging is possible
Mm,
because it is.
it is.
Like, that
I
simply,
attest
like,
to
that's
that.
all I would
Yes.
say.
I attest to that. The days are long gone of, grandmas with gray hairs and aprons, long gone. Like, I'm going to be the mom in the yoga pants on the yoga mat, right? Drinking my electrolytes and just loving that I just had my hormone pellets replaced.
Right.
Like that soreness is like a badge of honor on my backside.
Exactly, and as you lift your grandchild up, the people will be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, look at those biceps." Be like, "Yeah, I
Oh,
know."
Grammy.
Oh, oh, redefining grandma. Yeah,
Yes,
I hear
that's where
you.
I'm heading. I probably 6, 7 years ago would never have guessed this. So I am thankful for my journey. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the information that we have access to now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's been a great ride. So I'm super thankful for that. So, Erin, I'm going to give you the stage for a second to share how
yeah,
our followers, our subscribers, our listeners, our people can find you
yep.
online.
Sure. Right now, I would say just go to my website, revivalpath.com. I also have an Instagram page, Revival Path. And I would say, but primarily check out the website. I think it has the most information on it. I think you can get most of your questions answered there. And feel free
Awesome.
to reach out to my email. It's just a general inbox is info@revivalpath.com. And we see those emails come in all the time. So if you have a specific question that you need me to answer, just reach out. Happy to
Love
help.
that. I'm going to plug you a little bit more.
Yeah.
You are mostly seeing your patients virtually.
Yeah, mostly. Yes, absolutely.
So that's also an option.
Yes, telehealth is an option for Florida and Georgia patients. Um, I do have to see some people in person, just depending on the specific scenario that is going on. But we can always talk about that individually if people would like to, pursue care.
Perfect. Erin, this is always a pleasure. Erin, thank you so much for your time, and we will do this again really soon. Hey, I'll see you in Florida on April 19th.
Yeah, I'll see you in a few weeks. This will be
Yes,
great.
I'm
All
excited.
right. Thank you,
All
Edith.
right. Bye, Erin.
Bye.